This is the day that the Lord and we are making. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Welcome to the Unity Center of New York City's live stream service.
Broadcasting live from the heart of New York City, featuring new musical guests every week, with a message and meditation from Reverend Justin Epstein, your weekly destination for a wholesome message and meditation. Welcome to the Unity Center of New York City.
Make it funky now. I get the feeling that I've got to grow. Love keeps me running to the me that God knows. I'm here to be, to uplift and unfold, emancipating the divine of my soul. Ain't nothing holding me down. I let go of my story, now I'm walking in the arms of freedom. No one ever held me down before. Freedom. Take a look inside. Freedom. I said change can't find, I changed my mind about freedom. Take a look inside. Take a look inside. I keep moving on now, no precedent found. My revelation is to spirit unbound. The past has no power to paralyze me. I'm in the moment, I bless my history. Yeah. Ain't nothing holding me down. I let go of my story, now I'm walking in the arms of freedom. No one ever held me down before. Freedom. Take a look inside. Freedom. I said change can't find, I changed my mind about freedom. Take a look inside. Ooh, yeah, yeah. What can I do? Then I'll reveal your spirit. What can I be? Then I'll reveal your love. What can I say to keep and cure the hunger? What can I pray to be your joy today? Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I keep moving on now. No precedent found. My revelation is the spirit unbound. The past has no power to paralyze me. I'm in the moment, I bless my history. Oh, ain't nothing holding me down. Let go of my story, now I'm walking in the arms of holding me down. Let go of my story, now I'm walking in the arms of. Ain't nothing holding you down. Let go of your story, now you're walking in the arms of freedom. No one ever held you down before. Freedom. Take a look inside. Freedom. I said change can't find, I changed my mind about freedom. Take a look inside. Take a look inside. Freedom. Peace, y'all.
Thank you, Jami Lula. It's great to have him back. Hello and welcome to our live stream service. I'm Justin Epstein, the senior minister and author of the top-selling book, Super You. We're glad you're joining us here today. Well, along with Jami Lula today, we've got Sherry Hursey and Rick Cowling, who will be with us as far as the music goes. And I'll be speaking on the message, The Devil Made Me Do It. So stick around and get a little more about the devil. I want to remind you, please interact with us. We'd like to hear what you have to say. Feel free to put comments down below. In fact, we'd love for you to do that because it boosts the search engines or whatever the heck it boosts and gets our message out there in a bigger way. So not only do we connect and interact and we get to hear what you have on your mind, it also helps to get the message out there to more people. So thank you in advance for doing that. Also, about 2 minutes after the service today, I'm going to be doing a Hangout with the Rev online. So if you just stay where you are or get a glass of water or something right after the service, I'm going to be coming right back to answer questions and interact with you online. So I hope you'll be able to stick around, and we're doing that today for the first time, so it's going to be exciting and fun. All right, let's get rolling now, and we've got a sing-along with Sherry Hursey and Rick Cowling, My Soul is Welcome Here.
Good morning, Unity Center, New York City. We are so happy to be with you on this special day. Let's get started. Here we go. I'm in the right place at the right time.
Ready? I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be.
Oh, my soul.
Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Again.
Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
I'm in the right place. We're going to do it again, okay? Here we go. I'm in the right place at the right time.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to
Oh, my
be.
soul.
Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting a message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Woo! Thank you.
And welcome back, everybody. My name is Miguel, and today we are going to do something a little bit different that we have been doing in the past Sundays. Today we're going to be hanging out with the Rev after the service. That's right. You're probably wondering, like, what does that mean? It just means that you get to type all of your questions that you've had throughout the entire pandemic. Oh, we don't call it pandemic. We call it pandemonium or the panorama or something. We don't call it a pandemic. We don't want to remember it. But whatever questions you had during it, Reverend Justin Epstein will be able to answer all of them. So make sure you type them down here on the comments below or in the chat room and let us know and let him know, because I heard he's not going to try to answer them. He will answer them. So stay tuned after that, after the service. And as you already know, we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. Okay, and make sure you head over to the Facebook page because we have a lot of good things going on over there. First of all, hit the like button. Then after that, head over to the video section and check out everything that we got going on. For example, the guided meditation, the inspirational videos, and of course, the inspirational quotes that we type in almost daily. So check those out. Also on YouTube, you can go and hang out and basically see any service that you have missed. You know, maybe you missed the one from 2 weeks ago. No problem. You can just go over there and check it out. Also, the message, which is very, very important. We upload them everywhere. So check out YouTube, check out Facebook, check them all. Now, let's talk about the website real quick. The website, first of all, is unitycenternyc.com. So make sure you check it out to make a safe donation and, of course, subscribe to the weekly newsletter. But as of right now, it is time for the Prosperity Celebration. So please welcome Reverend Justin Epstein.
Thank you, Miguel. All right. Well, before we do that, I just want to comment about the Hangout with the Rev, as Miguel was talking about. I'm going to be here 2 minutes following the service, so just stay where you are for 2 minutes, or get a glass of water or whatever, and come back, and then you just type your questions down below, and we'll interact. I'll answer your questions. Like Miguel said, I'm not going to try to answer them. I'm going to answer them. All right? So as long as you put them down there, I'll answer them. How about that? It's a deal. They'll see you later. Okay, I'm not going anywhere though, but hang in there. In a moment, we are going to do a guided meditation, but before that, let's take a moment to bless our gifts today for our prosperity celebration. We acknowledge that Spirit is the source of all our good, that everything is different channels for that good to flow. And so we are good channels and good stewards. So let's take a moment now to acknowledge our gifts and to bless them. Join me in knowing that divine love flowing through me blesses and increases all that I give and all that I receive. Together, divine love flowing through me blesses and increases all that I give and all that I receive. And so it is. Amen. In a moment, we're going to do a guided meditation. We like to lead into those meditation times with some singing, a little quiet, repetitive singing, just to get our minds and hearts uplifted a little bit, and then to take that energy inside through a guided meditation. In Unity, we teach that God is within every person, but within, not like a raisin in a bun, but rather like a wave in the ocean. That we live in this great ocean of spirit, God, whatever name we might call that presence, and we're expressions of it. That's our true nature, our true essence. And so through the guided meditation, we like to get still and quiet and just touch base with that, because we forget. We get out in the far country in our thoughts and get lost in the outer, and we feel sometimes disconnected from that. We get restless and afraid and anxious and all that wonderful stuff. So let's take a moment now to move into the meditation and then have a guided meditation to recenter, reconnect with who we are. So let's do some singing with Jami Lula.
O great Spirit of love, giving freely, refusing none. O great Spirit of love, eternal goodness flows like a flood. O great Spirit of love, giving freely, refusing none. O great Spirit of love, eternal goodness flows like a flood. Love is all, is love. Join us in singing the music of one and all in one, no greater blessing neath moon or sun. No greater blessing. O great Spirit of love, giving freely, refusing none. O great Spirit of love, eternal goodness flows like a flood. Love is all is love. Join us in singing the music of one and all in one. No greater blessing neath moon or sun. No greater blessing. No greater blessing. No greater blessing.
All right, so I invite you to find a comfortable place to meditate, whether in a chair, on a couch, and let's just sit upright so our energy can flow up. We want this energy going right on up through those energy centers, those chakras, flowing right up through the spiritual eye, and feeling all that joy and bliss or whatever comes up for us. So let's take a nice, long, cleansing, deep breath. And exhaling. And as you exhale, just feel tension, stress, strain, just going out of your body. And we mentally scan and relax each part of our body, starting with the feet. Just feel your feet relaxing and letting go. Relaxing the calves, the thighs, letting your pelvic area relax, the buttocks relaxing. Let your abdomen and stomach relax. No need to hold that part of your body in. Just let go. Become aware of your hands. Let your hands be relaxed. Relaxing the forearms, the biceps, the shoulders. Becoming aware of the neck. Relaxing the front, the back, the sides. Relaxing your chest and your back. Moving awareness into the jaw, relaxing the jaw, the cheeks, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the lips, the tongue. Relaxing your scalp. And remembering the truth. The Sanskrit word for remembering, smriti. Remembering who we are. Remembering I'm not this mind, I'm not this body, I'm not my emotions. I have a mind. Well, if we say I have a mind, who is it that has the mind? It's you. Consciousness. An expression of spirit. An expression of consciousness. That's you. I have emotions. Who has emotions? I do. Well, who are you? Consciousness. I have a body. That means I'm not my body. My body's the object. I'm the subject. I am consciousness. And so now we, as consciousness, can focus our mind, can center the mind, can calm and quiet the mind. And as we do, we can tune into that infinite realm that's within us, literally within us. Not metaphorically, literally. We are connected with the one mind, the infinite mind of the universe. So as our body relaxes now, our mind starts to become still and quiet. I'd like to use an image today to quiet that mind. Imagine that you're out camping somewhere and you go for a walk and you come across this big, beautiful lake. And there are trees around this lake. Maybe there are mountains. But it's a little windy out. You sit beside the lake and you just feel the wind blowing. It's warm out though, the sun's shining. And you're looking at the surface of the lake, you can see ducks and other animals around the lake or on the lake. And you can see the movement of the trees, but you can barely make it out because it's windy. There's waves on the surface of this lake. You can sort of make out the mountains, but not completely clearly. Just like our minds can be so restless, just like the surface of this lake. So you are suddenly imbued with tremendous power, and you're able to say to the wind, "Peace, be still. Peace, be still," and the wind listens to you. And it starts to become quiet and still. You don't feel the wind blowing anymore. Just feel a gentle breeze. And you can see the lake starting to become calm, the ripples ironing out, so to speak, and the surface of the lake becoming very quiet and very still. And now you can see the trees starting to form very clearly on the surface. You can see the mountains very clearly. It starts to look like a picture. As you look at this still, calm surface of the lake. And now your mind is starting to become calm and still. And I'd like to bring your awareness now to that stillness at the center of your being. I invite you to just rest in the quiet, open and receptive to whatever your inner experience might be. Maybe you'd like to continue sitting next to this beautiful lake in nature. Maybe you'd like to create a beautiful scene of your own, or you just want to sit in the quiet. So let's do that now together, in the quiet, in the stillness. Now that you're centered, this is a wonderful time to visualize yourself experiencing some kind of good in your life. Maybe there's something you have to do. You need to talk to someone or make a sale, or maybe you would like to experience greater healing in your body. Or give a talk of some kind. Visualize yourself now experiencing the result you'd like to experience. How would it feel? How would you look? What would people say back to you? How would they respond to you when everything goes the way you would like it to? Program this into your subconscious. Program your mind with these positive thoughts, positive beliefs. For your nervous system cannot tell the difference between an imagined and an actual experience. So program yourself for success. And from this place of centeredness, we remember our friends and family, and we see them as they are, as spiritual beings, having a human experience, and we bless and support them and trust the activity of Spirit flowing in and through them and through every part of their life. And we include every person on the planet. We include all the animals, all the plants, all the flowers, all the streams, every part of life. We acknowledge that Spirit is in all and through all, is everywhere present. And we're grateful for this awareness, knowing this truth together, knowing the presence of peace, love, joy, harmony, and all good, everywhere present, the true reality. And we give thanks for this time of knowing, this time of truth. And now we let it be so. We trust the activity in all people taking place. And let us now bring our awareness back to the room where we are. Moving toes, moving fingers, hearing the sounds around us, feeling the chair or the couch beneath us, letting our eyes adjust to the lighting, and letting this new awareness, this new centeredness, flow and unfold through our thoughts, words, feelings, behaviors, the situations that we find ourselves in, trusting the activity, guiding and direct us. And so it is. Amen.
Got my mother's spears and my father's voice, and used to think I had no choice. But I'm not merely a stamp, I'm more than merely a stamp. A creation pure as clouds above, kissed with faith and hope and love. I know who I am, I know just who I am. I am the life, I am here, I am faithful. I am the life, I will shout, I am grateful. Not a soup of serendipity, melting in a pot of history. My true nature is a symphony, a unique divine identity, a universe.
We're born into a world of doubt till we learn to live from inside out. 'Cause we're not merely a stamp, we're more than merely a stamp. Like the acorn who became an oak and said out loud when he awoke,
I know who I am, I know just who I am. I am the life, I identity, a universe. I am the life, I am here, I am faithful. I am the life, I will shout, I am grateful. I am the life, I am here, I am faithful. I am the life, I will shout, I am grateful. Not a soup of serendipity, melting in a part of history. My true nature is a symphony, a unique divine identity. Not small or insignificant, we're made of love, omnipotent. Our true nature is magnificent, and our potential infinite. In the universe, we are the universe. We are the universe. I am the life, I am here, I am faithful. I am the life, I will shout, I am grateful. I am the life, I am here, I am faithful. I am the life, I will shout, I am grateful. Let's celebrate, let's celebrate, let's celebrate, let's celebrate life. Let's celebrate, let's celebrate, let's celebrate, let's celebrate life. Let's celebrate, let's celebrate, let's celebrate, let's celebrate life. Let's celebrate, let's celebrate, let's celebrate, let's celebrate life.
Years ago, in the early 90s, I was out running through the neighborhood, running and walking, and I came across this young man with a Bible in his hand, and he was a young minister. He started to talk to me about the devil. He started to preach about the devil as this, force that's trying to occupy and take over and is a challenge to God and so on. And I then told him, after listening to what he had to say, told him I was a Unity minister. And what I thought about the devil, which I told him I thought it was a metaphor. It wasn't a real actual force. Just like a lot of things in the Bible, Jesus spoke in parables. And so, that's what it was about. Well, at one point, he looked like he started to grow real tense, and he started to back away from me. And at one point he said, "You are possessed by the devil." And, it's like, oh, well, nice to meet you too. God bless you. Some people can get carried away with this idea about the devil. I mean, with the past year, you might have heard preachers talking about this whole thing as a concoction of the devil, COVID-19 concoction of the devil, and just using all kinds of stuff. And getting vaccinated is not necessary because, it's all the devil's work, and the Holy Spirit will take care of you, and all kinds of things of this nature. I'm not saying that's wrong, but I think it's not where I'm coming from. It's not what that young preacher was. The young preacher and I had different views about this whole thing. I mean, with the conspiracy theories, people think that the devil's behind it, and it's helped create the divisiveness in the country. This whole idea of the devil comes from primitive times, when people in primitive times had their gods, they had their devils, and it was people's way of trying to make sense of life. They're trying to explain, why is it that I try to be good or to make changes in my life, and then I do the very opposite of what I want to do? It's like what St. Paul said so beautifully. The thing that I would not do, that I do. And the thing that I want to do, I don't do. That's part of the human condition. Well, people trying to understand what that was about in ancient times came up with this idea that, well, the devil made me do it, like Flip Wilson. Flip Wilson and the woman who found herself the wife of the preacher, and he asked her, you bought a new outfit again. How come you bought this new outfit? Didn't you just buy an outfit the other day? Well, I was walking down the street and it wasn't my fault. The devil made me do it. The devil made me try on that dress. The devil told me to give him your credit card. So yes, excuses, trying to understand why we do the things that we do. And that's what people came up with. But they will refer to the Bible as proof that there is an evil force lurking about. They will do that. And it's easy to get spooked by it. When I was a student in college, I was freshman or sophomore, something like that. I was studying yoga philosophy. I was studying metaphysics and unity and different ideas. And I would also go to Christian groups because I was searching for truth. I wanted to know, what did traditional Christians believe? I wanted to also be around other people who believed in God. I didn't care whether they didn't believe exactly the way I did. And I heard them talking about one day the devil was going to unite all the churches together, and there would just be one kind of church, and, worshiping one God, but the devil would be in charge. Now, all that sounded pretty good to me. Didn't it sound good to you up until that point? Well, that summer of my freshman year, I applied to go live and work at an ashram in Virginia, the Satchidananda Ashram, to help work on their lotus. It's a beautiful temple they have out there. It stands for truth is one, paths are many. There's all these temples from all the different artifacts from all the different religions, and a light that goes right up the middle and branches off to the different altars, saying truth is one, paths are many. Well, I wanted to learn more about yoga and the philosophy and to be around those people, so I went there to live right after my freshman year in college. While I was there was still that thought from my friends that the devil would be building this one church thing. And when I met Satchidananda, I said, "Hey, Swami," or something like that. And his response to me, probably he was giving me a message. That's not how you talk to a Swami, or I don't know. It could have just been me. But at that point, my fear that I had picked up from these people started to work in my mind. I thought, maybe I am here helping the devil build his one church. And so that was just one of the ways that we can freak ourselves out, even with an idea that isn't real, I went back and studied yoga again later on, once I understood things better. So we may wonder, why do people get so upset and worried about the devil, and they start seeing it in places? Because that's what the human mind can do. In fact, Eric Butterworth told a story about a priest in Paris. He was a French priest who was the head of exorcisms in the Catholic Church. And he had been doing this for 50 years. And he described something called mythomania. He says that people tend to see what they're looking for. And that really, in all his 50 years, he had never seen a genuine possession. He had never seen a genuine experience where someone was actually possessed by the devil or a demon. He believed it was from the confused mind. In fact, he says, if you call the devil, you will see him, or you will see your confused mind's idea of him. Interesting, right? Get you thinking. So we tend to see what we're looking for. And in that case, a confused mind can come up with stuff. William James, who's considered the father of modern psychology, he went through a challenge about this as well at one point in his life, about whether there was a devil and so on. And he discovered in his studies that a healthy mind does not believe in an evil force that's at work. That's what he felt and came to the conclusion of. But people still point to the Bible. They say, yes, but in the Bible it talks a lot about Jesus exorcising demons and this kind of stuff. They talk about Jesus going to the wilderness and being tempted by the devil. And that's all in the scripture, for sure. But again, remember, a lot of the Bible is metaphors. And how would the disciples who wrote this down know that this happened? They weren't in the desert or wilderness with Jesus. They weren't there. He had to tell them. And Jesus, when he taught, frequently spoke in parables. So in this case, the wilderness represents going apart. It represents a time of prayer, a time of self-reflection, a time of being present with yourself. It doesn't mean he actually went out into the wilderness. And even if he did, it was still symbolic, metaphor. This was stuff that was happening inside of Jesus. He was struggling with his ego. That's one way of looking at what the devil is. It's the ego. It's a metaphor for our identification with the personality, our identification with the body, and how we can get all caught up in our emotions and almost be self-possessed. Okay, if you want to use that term, we can bedevil ourselves. So we might say something like, he was possessed by anger. He was possessed by anger. And when someone loses themselves in emotion and thoughts and gets carried away, we can do some crazy stuff. And it's not because of the devil. It's because we got caught up in our ego and our emotional drama, you see. And people look for an explanation. How could that be? Well, it's our humanness. This whole experience in the wilderness is something that happened inside of Jesus. He was going through that process of spiritual awakening. He was a human being waking up to his divinity. Of course, I love to say he's a spiritual being having a human experience. He was discovering that he was a spiritual being. So there was a lot going on. And the devil took him up on a high mountain and said, look, I'll give you everything. You can have everything that you want. You can be famous. You can be rich. You can have as many followers on Twitter as Kim Kardashian. I mean, you can have whatever you want, whatever you want, Jesus. Fame, power. And Jesus said, that was himself talking. That was his humanness, saying, wow, I could use this spiritual power and ability to get whatever I want in life. And then he says, no, that's not what I'm about. I'm not here to do that. I'm not looking for fulfillment from outside. I don't need these things. Sure, they come into your life. There's nothing wrong with them. But that's not what my life is about. He was saying to himself. He was having that struggle that, like the butterfly in the cocoon goes through to become the butterfly. Like the chicken breaking out of the egg. It struggles. He was having a struggle with himself. And that's good. That was part of his evolution. You know, it says the devil, which is symbolic, again, for the ego, took him up on the temple and said, hey, throw yourself down and let your angels lift you up. Again, that was the ego saying, wow, with my spiritual powers, I can do a lot of stuff. I could become a leader of nations. I can do all kinds of number of things. But that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to be famous. I'm here to use my talents and skills and to make the difference that God is calling me to make. That's what I'm here. I'm not here to become a powerful politician or a ruler. I'm here to do what God is calling me to do, and that's not it. See, he was saying no to that. And then the other temptation, by the way, temptation is a metaphor for the inertia that's in our human inertia. When you ever notice you try to change something in your life and it's difficult, you try to, I know a lady, she wanted to give up sweets and sugar, and next thing you know, she found herself at the freezer. Haagen-Dazs was calling her, come hither, come hither. I have another friend who was reading the Daily Word and had just read, I will treat my husband with love and respect. And later on that day, she got in a fight. Not my husband. I will treat people with love and respect. Later that day, she got in a fight with the husband. You know, the thing that I would do, I don't do. The thing that I don't want to do, that I do. That's the challenge, see? And he was facing some of that. That's what the temptations are, the inertial response. He saw a rock and he heard, why don't you turn that rock into bread, Jesus? Now keep in mind, the man, if he was in the wilderness, if he was fasting, he was hungry. Temptation, gee, he had the habit of eating. He liked to eat. And in that case, he was fasting, and he'd like to turn that thing into bread. Or also, he said, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that flows out of the mouth of God. In other words, if he were fasting, he was saying, look, I am a spiritual being. I don't need to eat right now. I'm fasting. I'm the one in charge. My body's not in charge. I'm in charge. I am the master. And so I won't do that. I will not turn it into bread. I mean, what's wrong with turning it into bread? Everybody could eat if he did that. No, it was a metaphor. It was a metaphor for his spiritual growth that was happening inside of himself. You see? And we all are going through that process of growth. We all have those opportunities to grow. And so the devil is not a force that's lurking around in a red suit with a pitchfork trying to tempt everybody. You might say, well, what about possessions, Justin? What is that? People being possessed. Well, I mean, again, in those days, they didn't know what certain disorders were. They didn't know about all mental diseases and things that went on. You know, it could be an explanation like that. So it's not a force. In unity and in New Thought, we see there's one presence and one power in the universe, God the good omnipotent. One presence. That means that the ultimate reality of everything is spirit. It's God. It's consciousness. And where there's one presence and power, there can't be another power trying to take over God. There can't be another power that's trying to battle it out, this cosmic battle. In this corner is God weighing 9 million pounds, and in this corner, the devil weighing, what, a couple ounces. No, it's not a battle. It's one presence and one power. you see. But there is something in human consciousness that struggles. And it's that inertial pull in human consciousness that we deal with. It's our old habit patterns. It's negative habit patterns that we get caught in. And there's a way out. But the good news is we're in control. As long as you are the master of your mind, and we all can be the master of our minds. You that are living in there, you that has a mind, you that has emotions, you that has a body, you are consciousness. And you are the master of your mind, or can be. By being able to remain in that awareness of who you are, and the observer state, the witness state, what the Buddhists call the seat of consciousness, where you're able to observe your thoughts and the emotions that come up within you so that they can pass through you like clouds in a sky, so that you don't get bedeviled. You don't get sucked in to the drama of the mind and the emotions. Isn't that what happens? People get, have you ever, I know you have, I have you ever gotten really angry and it was almost like that anger was taken over? You were like, I remember one time, the scientists tell us that as the day goes on, you use up energy that you would normally use for your willpower. I don't know if that's true or not, but I certainly have had times where at the end of the day, where a lot has gone on during the day, and my energy was low. And I remember one time, this girl I was dating, she drove her car and I drove my car. And it was a long day on a Sunday. Lots of stuff went on. There were meetings and stuff. And I was just really, it was like 3 o'clock or so, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I just wanted to rest. I was like, well, let's go to a movie. And so I followed her in her car, and she drove like a bat out of hell, speaking of the devil. She just flew down, and I just couldn't keep up with her, and I wasn't going to speed to keep up with her. And then she pulled out in front of traffic into the movie parking lot. So I don't know what I did, but all I could tell you is I didn't have the willpower to control my annoyance. And I remember sitting in the car, I remember her pulling up into the parking lot, and I pulled up next to her, and I was just anxious and frustrated from the day. It was there was a lot of stuff that occurred during that day. And then trying to follow her, and I remember sitting in the driver's seat going, don't get out of the car. Do not get out of the, I could not control myself. I got out of the car and I expressed my annoyance. And I'm not saying there's not a time to do that, but that was not the time to do that. But, sometimes it feels like you've been taken over, you're possessed, you're bedeviled. But it's not a force. It's in our humanness. Sometimes we have questions about how can people do the stuff they do, right? Like mass genocide. I've seen documentaries on it and read about it where these are calculating people. They know what they're doing. It's not like they're under some big emotional thing, but maybe there's driving hatred inside of them. I don't know, but those questions do come up. Well, how does people do that? How do they kill women and children? And why is it so challenging sometimes to keep a positive attitude? How come I have to work so hard? Well, I don't know if hard's the right word, but continually make the effort to stay on the spiritual path, to stay in this seat of awareness, the seat of consciousness. Why is it so tough? Well, it's not because there's an evil force at work. It's just because it's part of the creative energies of the universe. It's part of being a human. And the spiritual path is learning to live in this world, but not lose your seat of consciousness. not get lost in the drama of our own stuff, but to be able to observe it, watch it, look at it, and let it flow through us and make choices from our inner self. You know, we could read the paper, we could read history books and go, why, there's just so much negative stuff about people and human beings. How do we know there's no devil causing all this? Well, you know, there's also a lot of positive stuff. There's a lot of great stuff going on. It's just that people are so often driven by fear. They don't want to see that. They want to watch the news and see what's out there? You know, what's going on now? Caught up in all the drama. But when you're on the spiritual path for a while, as probably you are, you know, I don't need that drama. I don't want that drama. I know what joy feels like. I know what peace feels like. I know what it feels like to be centered, and I don't want all the drama. You know, so Jesus Christ was an example of someone who expressed the highest potential that's inside of us. I love the thought of Emerson that we are gods in disguise. We're God in disguise. That's our true nature. And we can either focus on all that's wrong about people and ourselves, or we can focus on that our potential is good. Let's focus on the people who express that great potential. Focus on the people who are expressing that goodness. Catch yourself doing something good. Catch yourself doing something wonderful and acknowledge that's my true nature. Because all of it's in there. There aren't evil people. They're not. Gavin Becker, who wrote the book, The Gift of Fear, he said that people we call monsters, he said there are no monsters. They're not evil people. They're human beings exactly like you and me. They're exactly, only the difference is we made other choices. And he knows that from personal experience because he grew up in a life very similar to another person, very similar background of abuse and so on, only Gavin made a different choice. So there aren't monsters, there aren't evil people, they're just people. And we're all part of the one mind and the one presence, the one consciousness. And if we think there are evil people, then we are not going to be tuned in to our own humanness enough to detect someone who is not coming from the right place. See, when you're spiritually centered and you're listening to your intuition, when there is somebody to be concerned about, your intuition will let you know. The word intuition comes from the word tuere, which means to protect. To protect. That's our greatest protection, Gavin told us. So, in other words, there's no force lurking around out there. I don't believe so. I just can't buy that. It's a metaphor for the ego. And the key is to remain rooted in consciousness, to not let yourself get sucked into the drama of thoughts and emotions or race consciousness that also influences us, and to just stay as much as possible. And when we get off track, get back in there of being seated in the seat of self, in that seat of consciousness, and living from that place. That's the place of peace. That's the place of joy. That's the place we want to live in. Not focusing all the stuff that's wrong about people. You may have heard the story of the chief talking to his son and telling the son, "Son, there's two wolves fighting inside of you, inside of all of us." And the son said, "Really, Dad? Well, who's going to win?" And the chief says, "The one you feed the most." So let's feed the good stuff. Let's feed the possibility, the potential that abides within every one of us. Let's get still for a moment. And today we just take a nice sigh, a deep breath of relief, knowing we don't have to worry about some evil force trying to get us. that we're the masters of our mind, or we can be. As long as we are in charge, nothing can get into our mind unless we let it. We're the ones in charge of our life. We have the choice and we have the responsibility. Sure, we don't always do the things that we want to do. We're not always successful at first, but we have the power within us to keep on trying, to learn, to grow, keep on going and trying until we are successful. It takes power, it takes willpower, it takes attention, it takes effort, and it takes never giving up. There's nothing worse than giving up. That's the only failure there is. We don't have to give up. We can keep on keeping on, but we accept that the devil didn't make me do it. I did it. I might have been influenced by things. I might have been influenced by people. I might have been under the influence, whatever it might be, but it's because I'm the one in here. I'm the one in charge, or I can be. So I'm responsible for myself and for my life. And we're grateful, Father, Mother God, for your guidance and your direction in teaching us and guiding us and showing us the way. We shall know the truth, and the truth shall make us free. Amen. I'd like you to remember to hang in with us for about a minute or two after the service and hang out with the Rev. You'll get a chance to ask some questions if you want to. You just write them down in the chat below following the service, and we'll hang out for a little bit right after the service, 2 minutes after the service, okay? So I'll see you then. But until then, if you gotta go, then please join me in saying the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Amen. Thank you for joining us today. I'll see you for Hang Out with the Rev, or I'll see you next time for the Unity Center of New York City's live stream service. I'm Justin Epstein. See you next time. with the Rev. Hopefully you got yourself a glass of water or something following the service. And we're excited. This is the first time we've had this talk back, so to speak, with everyone. So I hope you're having a nice day today. And I welcome your comments, questions, whatever you'd like to chat about this afternoon. So feel free to put a comment below, and I will start to look at those and answer them. Have anything you'd like to talk about? Any spiritual questions that you might have, or whatever's on your mind at the moment. Sound good? All right, I'm going to wait while you do that, and we can hang out for about a half an hour at most, however long. Okay. Okay, we've got a question from Wayne. Hi, Wayne, from Chicago. Will you continue to stream on Sunday once you're back at the Unity Center? Yes, indeed, Wayne. We will continue to stream, and we're glad you're enjoying our services there. We will continue to stream. We're actually working on the details of how to be a hybrid center, how to have a live service and be present. Also communicate to you where you are and people in other places through the cameras. So we've been working hard at where the cameras are going to be and how we're going to do that. So yeah, we'll still continue to do it. Thanks for your question, Wayne. Anybody else have any question? Hey, Dennis. Let's see who we got on here. Karen, lighting, nice to see you. Hugh. It scrolled up, so I missed some of you, the other folks on here who are on. Okay, I think I got you. Those of you who commented. So we got another question from Karen, lighting. I hope I'm saying your last name right, Karen. Any thoughts on when in-person services might resume? Yes, that fits perfectly with Wayne's question, doesn't it? We do have thoughts, and we're going to say next week. Next week, we're going to announce when our live services will be. We're doing a promotional with that whole thing. So my marketing guy said, we're going to announce it next week. So stay tuned, and you'll know very soon, okay? It's exciting, and you have time. You're not going to you won't miss it. So even if you miss next week's announcement, you'll see it, and you'll have enough time, okay? Anybody else? Any spiritual questions or any other kind of question? We see one from Dennis. Oh, wait, there's one from Patricia. Oh, that was a question from Patricia Franzino. Oh, okay. Will you have two services or one? Well, Patricia, you know, it's been almost a year and a half. It's been over a year since. So we're planning to service so that we can, first of all, get everything synced up with doing a live service online as well as being in person. And I think that doing all that in the beginning, at least having one service, will help us get organized. And also with people having not been in a live service here for over a year and longer, we want to see who shows up and get going first before we consider a second service right now, okay? So the good news is we're online and everything will be available also. So if coming to an early service, if that's not possible in the beginning, you can always watch it online as well. Any other questions here? Dennis. Hi, Dennis. And thank you, Patricia, for your question. Dennis, do other religions believe in the devil? I believe that, I'm not an authority on everything about Hinduism or Buddhism, but I believe there's some, I've come across at times some reading, I believe, about demons maybe. The interesting thing is, even in Buddhism, where the Buddha taught the light is within you, and go within and discover that spirit inside of you, even in that religion, for example, people came to worship the Buddha, right? And it's amazing. In Hinduism, the same idea. God is within every person, and you're here to discover that divinity. And yet people will worship the teacher. Like you have gurus and swamis who teach God is within, and yet people will revere the teacher. When I studied Buddhism many years ago, in college actually, and again in ministerial school, there's different forms of Buddhism. And whatever the religion is, people start worshiping the outer. I know what it was in Hinduism. Even though they teach God is within you, and that's the truth of who you are, people get caught up in even the sinner idea in Hinduism about being a sinner and all that stuff that happens in Orthodox Christianity. So even though I can't give you any specifics, I'm sure there are people in other religions who believe in demons and devils and stuff like that as well. Maybe it's a human tendency. So that's, and I believe there's metaphors in Buddhism too. I think Mara, that comes to mind as being a sort of a temptation mentioned in Buddhism. Again, I tend to think that's metaphorical. So yeah, it's in other religions as well. Maybe it's part of being human. We, instead of accepting responsibility, we look for something with our confused minds. We think, oh my God, I'm trying to do better and I can't, and why am I behaving the way I am? It must be some outer force doing it. Yeah, it'd be an interesting study. I wonder if there's a book about the devil and other, in other religions. That would be kind of interesting to learn, I think, to study. All right, anybody else? Let's see. Thanks, Dennis, for your question. Heather, HB. You mentioned being in the observer state. What is the best way to do that? Just do it, HB. Okay, so what happens? We get caught in we start thinking, we start having emotions. Somebody says something, does something, or something happens. What happens? We start to get in our thinking about it. We start to get lost in our emotions. Next thing you know, she shouldn't talk to me like that. How dare she talk to me? Doesn't she know who I am? And after what I've, how we get lost in all those thoughts and feelings? That's not being in the observer state, right? And then we come back and we realize, oh man, where did I go? Look how I got all in that drama. So right now, you are looking at me, right? You, in there, in that mind, in that body, are looking at me, right? Or listening to me. I'm the object, you're the subject. You are the one watching. You in there are observing, right? Obviously, I'm not you. you are in there observing me. Well, the you that's in there is the one doing the observing. And you're aware of that, right? You are aware that you are observing and listening to what I'm doing. You're in that state. You're in the observer state. Now, if I were to say something not very nice to you, or to say something that really provoked a lot of emotion in you, you could go potentially from just observing and listening and realizing that you're the one listening to going into, how dare he say that to me? He doesn't even know who I am, and I don't believe that. I think this is a bunch of junk. And you could go into all this emotion and get completely out of that observer awareness and get caught up in the emotion. The goal, as I see it, is to never get lost in the thoughts and emotions to where you're not aware of what you're thinking and feeling. So that you are aware, gee, I'm feeling annoyed by what he's saying right now, that you're aware of what you're feeling and thinking. It's just, you're not one with it, you're aware of it. And I just think it comes with practice. And hey, meditation is one of the ways too, to learn to witness your mind and your emotions. Because in meditation, you're learning to watch your breathing. So I, consciousness, am watching my breathing. So I'm not my breathing. I'm just watching my breathing. If you have a mantra in a meditation and you're using a mantra and you're watching a mantra, you are aware of yourself apart from the mantra. You, as consciousness, are watching your thoughts. Let's say you're practicing a type of meditation where you're observing your sensations in your body. You are aware, as consciousness, that I'm watching the feelings and sensations in my body. So you learn through meditation how to separate your consciousness, how to remain really in that seat of observer state, in that seat of consciousness, in that seat of self, because you're training yourself. You're observing your mind, you're observing your feelings, you're observing your body, so that you can bring that into your daily life experience, so that when you're aware of thoughts and feelings as they come up, and when you can stay in that state of awareness, then it's much less likely you're going to get sucked into anger, jealousy, fears, insecurities. You're going to be aware of them, but you're not going to lose yourself in them, see, or less likely to. And if you do, then you're at some point, you're going to like a cork popping up out of the ocean. You're going to all of a sudden go, oh, man, how did I get drawn into all that? Now let me deal with these emotions. Let me take a deep breath. Let me just be still or go for a walk or something. So it's practice. It's practice. You are in that observer state right now, and then notice when you're not there. Notice what thoughts come, what feelings come, and just keep practicing observer state. It's not work. It's just, well, maybe it is work, but we're going to think anyway. We're going to feel anyway, and we're going to be aware anyway. So it's just trying to remain in that awareness state. Thanks for your question, HB. Carissa Batten. Hi, Carissa. Not a question, but wanted to tell you all, thank you for everything through this pandemic. Oh, thank you, Carissa. Well, appreciate that. Yeah, our team has been working hard for you throughout this whole pandemic to be able to get the service to you, and it's been rewarding for all of us to help inspire you, encourage you through these times. And thanks for your presence and also being there for us. Sharon, hi Sharon. When you studied Eastern religion, what famous gurus did you meet along the way? It's been quite a journey, Sharon. It's been fun. I started with Swami Satchidananda, the founder of Integral Yoga. My mom was a yoga teacher for him. She had studied with him in his school, and I picked up one of her books when I was in high school. I was a senior, taking a humanities class, and somehow I picked up his book, started reading it. And I met him on a few different occasions, went to a few of his talks, and he had a presence about him that was really powerful and peaceful and calm. I told the story in the talk about the devil where he had responded to me in a way that I felt, negative about, but who knows what was going on in my mind at that time, really. It was like, hey, Swami, and he was kind of like, something like the way I observed it, and I just freaked myself out. A few days later, I was out working on the temple, and he came up in a golf cart where I was and another man, and he chatted with us. It was just a regular, everyday conversation. But by that point, my mind was already. So I met Swami Satchidananda, and also I met a lot of teachers along the way. Wayne Dyer, and all the Unity ministers I've met. Wayne Dyer, I've asked questions to on a few occasions. I had dinner with Wayne Dyer. It wasn't just me. After one of his talks here in New York City, he said, hey, everybody, I'm going to my favorite restaurant in New York City, Carnegie's Deli. If you want to meet me there, we'll have dinner together. So at midnight, me along with like 5 other people show up at Carnegie's Deli. And we ended up having dinner with Wayne Dyer. He was sitting right across from me. And I asked him some questions and stuff, so that was fun. Had that opportunity a few times with Wayne Dyer. And a lot of Unity ministers are amazing people, and I've met a lot of Unity ministers over the years. I don't know that they count as, you may not count them as swamis or gurus, but they were great teachers. Joyce Kramer in Virginia Beach, Jim Rosemurgy, dear friend of mine, and was a great teacher for me. And then Swami Kriyananda, also known as J. Donald Walters. He was a direct disciple of Paramahansa Yogananda. He lived in Yogananda's ashram the last 3.5 years of Yogananda's life. So he became a friend as well. He would send me books he was writing and chapters to get my feedback, along with a number of other people he would send the chapters to. But I had an opportunity one time to sit and ask him questions, personal questions. He was a very busy person, and I went through channels to have that opportunity when I lived in that spiritual community. But I saw him on many occasions performing and speaking, and actually had one opportunity to ask him questions. That was back in probably 1997 or so. Yeah, around 97. I also met Roy Eugene Davis, who was a direct disciple of Yogananda's as well. He knew Yogananda. Yogananda had met with him and told him that he could teach Kriya meditation. And I went, when I was in Hilton Head for 7 years, drove down to Georgia and met with Roy Davis. And he and I had a conversation, which I don't actually know, I didn't film it. I wished I had. And then, of course, I worked with Eric Butterworth 4 years, the last 4 years of his life and ministry, and I would meet with him every week, once a week, at least once a week. I would ask Eric Butterworth questions. Now, that was an amazing opportunity. Olga Butterworth was very protective of Eric. That's not a secret from people who knew Eric and Olga. But very few people had that kind of an opportunity with Eric. I went to work with him when he was 82. And he had Parkinson's illness. So he was in sort of a challenging state, although he would still do Sunday services with Olga. And I think she liked me being with Eric. I was a huge fan of Eric long before I went to work there. And I'm seeing a hand, but I can't. Oh, all right. So I'm going to need to stop there with that question because we've got 5 minutes and I've got another question here I see. But thanks for asking that question. I love it. So I got 4 years with Eric Butterworth asking him questions. And there were days where Eric's light, eyes just shined. He was truly an incredible teacher and a very spiritual man. And you could see that in his eyes many times. I was very fortunate to have that opportunity. There might be others who I've met that's just not coming to mind, but those are the main folks. And then, of course, through books and audio tapes, you can meet a lot of people. I did spend 3 days with Brian Tracy, the great personal development teacher and instructor, and met Dr. Angelou backstage and a number of neat people. So I've been blessed. Thanks for that question, Sharon. Phyllis Joy Steinberg, hello. She's on the board, y'all. Do we both experience life and observe it at the same time? While eating something we enjoy, we taste it with our senses, for example, and observe that we are enjoying its taste. I follow both Buddhism and unity and find they're very similar. Just the language is different. A question and a comment for you. I'm always thankful for what you share and your presence. Thank you. Thank you, Phyllis. I appreciate that. Do we experience life and observe it at the same time? I think so. I think that it's both, The world comes in, and it comes in through the filter of our senses. It comes in through our mind. And it touches us. So the idea is to let the world come in and touch us and experience it fully in the present. Now, we're aware of that, aren't we? If you eat something tasty, you eat it and you go, that's delicious. Well, I'm aware that I'm tasting it and I'm aware how delicious it is, right? So that's how we experience the world. I think that it comes in and it touches us. Now, here's the problem. The problem is, if this is a singer example, if a person has a thorn in their arm, and instead of just removing the darn thorn, they try to keep everything away from the thorn. We don't want the thorn to be touched because it's going to hurt. So we try to keep everybody away from the thorn. Well, that's a heck of a way to live, isn't it? That's what we do. We have stuff inside of us that we don't want life to touch because it'll hurt. Buried emotions. So we try to avoid those things. Bob made me angry, so I don't even want to be around people named Bob, right? I was married to a Bob. Someone comes to me and says, hey, or wrong example for me, but someone comes to a woman who is married to a Bob and says, hey, I got a blind date for you. His name is Bob. Oh, no, I don't do Bobs. I was married to Bob. I don't, right? Someone's afraid of snakes. So I don't want to walk in the woods because there are snakes. That's carrying around stuff inside of us and trying to avoid situations that touch our fears, that touch our stuff. So instead of letting life come in, we often try to avoid, we want to set life up so that we avoid things that touch our stuff. and we want to make life reflect the stuff that makes us happy, right? And the reality is there are snakes in life and there are butterflies in life. And if we are totally at rest within ourselves and at peace within ourselves, we're happy to let the vibrations of all of it come inside of us. When you see a rattlesnake, it's scary, right? It comes in and it's like, woo, that's amazing. When you see a butterfly, oh, isn't that beautiful? The goal is to be in the observer state and to let all of it come in and not worry that it's going to touch our stuff. But it does. And when it does touch our stuff, the key is to allow it to flow through us so that we don't just stuff it more. Oh my God, I hate rattlesnakes. No, get away. Well, there you got more stuff you just planted and something else to avoid in the future. But if it comes in, it's like, ooh, that's a scary rattlesnake. But I'm aware of my fear and I'm aware of the rattlesnake. And man, this is a cool experience. You know, it's uncomfortable, but it's cool. That's what we're talking about. Not getting freaked out, but just being present, letting it come in, and living our life fully. I hope that answers your question. Thanks, Phyllis, for that question. Okay, this is our last question. First of all, before I answer, I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me here. So, Kathleen O'Brien Poole, have you studied A Course in Miracles? What are your thoughts? I own the Course in Miracles. I have the Course in Miracles book. I have the Course in Miracles study guide, and I've never really read the Course in Miracles. I've read books based on the Course in Miracles. I've read some of Marianne Williamson's stuff. There was a great teacher, Hawkins, who wrote Power versus Force. I saw him speak, and he was a big proponent of A Course in Miracles. Every now and then, I'll use a line from A Course in Miracles that I read or learned that I like love reveals all that which is unlike itself. I believe that's out of A Course in Miracles, which I love. For me, that means when you pray and stuff, in the beginning it'll be peaceful, but then stuff might start coming up because that stuff wants to be healed, right? So that's my exposure to the Course in Miracles. I've never really felt inspired to read it. I've read some of it, and what are my thoughts about it? I think that anything can be a vehicle, almost anything can be a vehicle for inspiration. If you read A Course in Miracles and it inspires you and it encourages you to be able to be present to life and to be open to being aware of your thoughts and feelings and learning to enjoy your life, then that's a good thing. Is it right? Is it wrong? You know, what do you think about the idea that everything is a dream? And those are all concepts. You know, they're interesting and intriguing, and that's where I leave it. You know, do I agree with it? Is it right? Is it wrong? I don't know. I know what some of the great sages say. And maybe everything ultimately is a dream, but for us, it's very real. And so for me, I'm very much into staying in that observer state and witnessing the thoughts and emotions and being present to life and letting it come in. You know, something that's very practical for me. I do have one thought, though. When you read the Course in Miracles, apparently the Course in Miracles was channeled, right? I believe it was a psychiatrist who channeled the Course in Miracles and wrote down what came to her. It was Jesus. She was an atheist, apparently, and this voice was Jesus coming through her. And I know a lot of people who like it because it's a digestible Jesus for them, the Course in Miracles. It's not the Bible. So here's my thoughts. I think a lot of people have hang-ups on the Bible, and they have hang-ups about Jesus because of what they were raised in and because of how they learned what the Bible was and what Jesus was. This is how unity can be helpful to people. It gives them a new way of looking at what Jesus taught. It gives them a new understanding of the Bible, a new way of looking at the Bible. So that's probably why I never turned to A Course in Miracles, because I have the unity understanding of Jesus and the yogic understanding of Jesus, and I have the unity and yogic understanding of the Bible. So I've never felt drawn to the Course in Miracles. But one little thought is, when you read A Course in Miracles, it's kind of complex, isn't it? The bit I read, it's kind of complicated reading. And I thought, well, Jesus didn't speak that complicated. He spoke in parables, so I guess for people in those days it was a little complicated. But that's my only question is, well, why is it so complex reading when Jesus was a master at sort of talking? When he spoke to farmers, he talked farm language, right? And he did teach parables, though, and that did puzzle people. So that's the only question I had about it. But if Course in Miracles inspires you and helps you grow, and then wonderful. More power to it. And I hope it's helpful to you. A lot of Unity churches have A Course in Miracles for their congregation. But I just want to say that when you understand the teachings of Jesus from a Unity perspective, and the Bible, then it's not threatening. You know, it's something to learn from as well. So I would say that to a lot of Course in Miracles people who are like this with the Bible, but it doesn't have to be that way. The Bible can be metaphysically read too. So again, any movie, a book, the Course in Miracles, the Bible can all be instructional. A song can inspire us. So I know I've gone on way too, more than you asked me, I'm sure. But thanks for your question. I do appreciate that question, Kathleen. And thank you all. Thank you, Susan Newfer. Thanks for watching. Phyllis, Sharon, Kathleen, and all of you who joined us for hanging out with the Rev. We'll do this again in a couple of weeks. Until then, have a great rest of the day. This is the Rev signing off. Namaste.